Everyone has some sort of a closet that's become too small. A closet is no place to live, and I want to support as many people as I can in stepping out of that prison into the fullness of life that's waiting for them on the other side of that closet door. I'm Nancy Shadlock from Centered Life Coaching. Join me in listening to these Coming Out Chronicles. Get curious about your story, and then see what good things are waiting for you on the other side of your closet door. So Tara, set the scene for us of your coming out story that you'd like to share with us today.
You know, I can't help but think of Donna Summers. I'm sure you must be thinking that song all the time. When you, maybe not, but I'm a child of the 70s.
Yeah, I don't actually know what you're talking about, so.
Oh, I'm coming out.
Okay, yeah.
I want the world to know. Got to let it show. I'm coming out. Okay, that's my Donna Summer impression.
That's so great. I'm leaving that in. That sounds awesome.
So my coming out story, you know, I feel like it really was this past year. So one might think when I talk about my life that it would be actually the dissolution of my 25-year marriage. And however, what I think is, I think that was a pivotal point that set me on the path of coming out. And I was just speaking about this today, is that part of the work that I did around that dissolution of that marriage was, it was a plant medicine journey. It was probably a few plant medicine journeys. And one of the messages that came through loud and clear was, I don't have that luxury anymore. And so really coming to this point where I need to move forward in my integrity and lift and remove the veil of things that were holding me back, of creature comforts that I was used to, and a certain lifestyle that I was, if you will, addicted to. And I mean, probably not that terribly, but yeah, that I was on the teat, if you will. I didn't want to be taken off. And I don't have that luxury anymore. So moving forward has been really this coming out process for me over the past year. How's that sound?
Yeah. I'm so curious of what that's looked like for you then.
I will speak a little bit about my marriage, in that I got into relationship with my former husband at the age of 22, and I had a different view of the world than I currently do now, although I didn't know that it was so different. But I think in going into that relationship, I really wanted someone to take care of me. And then I had 2 children with that partner, and I wanted them to be taken care of. And we were, financially, we were taken care of. And I think somewhere along the path, I also wanted things for myself. And I went to graduate school, and I became a clinician, and I became a sex therapist, and I grew a business, and I became a speaker, and I did those things. And yet at the same time, I lost a sense of agency of what is it that I need for myself to have the sense of personal fulfillment. And it was very much wrapped up in this relationship that I had, that I believe was with my beloved, and that's still questionable, but this relational aspect that it kind of usurped my sense of agency, that preceded, if you will. I mean, and not necessarily that that's a bad thing. I think that if you're in a union with another person, that is then the pillar of the family, and the family extends from that, as maybe that's your experience, and that was mine. But within that, I lost my sense of agency and my sense of self. And this past year has set me on the path of rediscovering that and reconnecting to myself.
And so when you say coming out, what does that mean? Like, did you fall in love with a woman? Did you come out in the traditional sense of what everyone thinks when I say coming out? Or do you have a different definition of that?
Yeah, yeah. So certainly coming out of a 25-year marriage. So coming out of that, did I fall in love with a woman? Yes, I fell in love with myself.
Yes.
Right?
Amazing.
And that was the best place to begin. Yeah, because I don't think I could have loved another without loving myself first. And that was lost along the way in my former relationship. I forgot to really love myself. I had the creature comforts where there was the illusion of loving myself and taking care of myself. And, I got facials and I ate well and all of these external things that were important, and certainly creating this layer of luxury and being taken care of. But the deeper sense of, am I in love with myself? Am I really doing the work that I'm meant to do here on planet Earth in this human body at this time? Probably not so much. So this really was this veil of ignorance of, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it appeared to be. I wasn't unhappy.
Mm-hmm. Was there like a moment or a turning point when you realized, like, I have to keep moving forward in this and start kind of exposing it to the world, sharing it with the world, this new truth of who I am?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I could say that it actually happened in a moment where there was this dissolution of marriage, where physically there was an altercation and there was no turning back to that relationship. I could bring it to that moment, but I don't think that I had the conscious awareness because I was probably still grasping at that relationship. I think again that it happened during a sister ceremony with plant medicine, where I was able to get in touch with a deeper sense of myself, um, and my sisters, and how I was connecting to my sisters who were there, and how I was showing up for them, and really feeling the fear of how I was showing up in the world, of experiences that I'd had. Um, there's a lot of fear, a lot of pain, um, and that and again, coming back to this message of, I don't have the luxury to show up in my life as that anymore, that I need to dive deeper into who I am so I can show up in the way that I'm supposed to be showing up. And so, for example, as a clinician, I was trained as a psychodynamic psychotherapist, and we're asked to be a blank slate for our clients. So this way they can project onto us anything that they need to project onto us so they can then work with that. So we have transference. And then my experience of that is countertransference, if that happens. And so that then is kind of the mix or the murkiness that we get to kind of dive into and pull apart. And as a clinician, then I needed to show up as a blank slate. And a lot of people didn't know, my sexual orientation, whether I had kids, whether I was in a long-standing relationship. They didn't know anything about me. My first and my last name, and that I was qualified to do this work. And I hid in that because I didn't need to show up as myself. And now, in this work that I'm doing moving forward, being a retreat host and kind of hanging my hat up as a clinician per se, I mean, obviously that's going to infuse my work no matter what I do. But this aspect of leading and hosting retreats is different because I'm showing up as myself. And so last year, my journey was to dive deeper into who I am and how I want to show up into the world. And so I did a 9-month priestess training. I studied with the vagina whisperer, who is a pelvic floor therapist who helps women connect with their pelvic floor and the fear and the anger that's trapped in there for each of us, and that the womb is the seat of our power as women. I worked with some tantric educators and became a tantric educator myself, which of course is a great complement for my work as a sex therapist. And so really diving deeper into the mysteries of the body and understanding through my own body the experiences that then are personal but are also universal. So really having this transpersonal experience that was profound, going again through the depths of my own body. So it began with the plant medicine, it ended with Tantra, or maybe it's still evolving through that process, but really rediscovering my body. So this way then I can develop and deliver the retreat services that I'm offering to women called Rediscovering My Body, which is not me hide behind the facade of a clinical hat and showing up as, different than as I am now.
Wow. That's brave. Like that, I see what you're saying now about this coming out journey, like to step out of this like licensed clinician, very clinical, and do plant medicine and tantra and like all these things. Was it scary for you amidst your peers and people in that? Like, were you worried about judgment in that regard?
I think tremendously so. Yeah, not last year as much as I realized the restraints and the restrictions that I had accepted as normal within the confines of my 25-year marriage. And so I'll just refer to that, and not so much that he was controlling, and he was, but also the way that I accepted what I accepted. And so one of the parameters of our relationship was that when I introduced myself as a clinician and not as a sex therapist. Because if I say that I'm a sex therapist, we're going to dive in, into a total topic that's not going to be socially acceptable. And if I slip up and say that I'm a sex therapist, well, then at least say that you work with cancer patients, because then that's morally redeemable. So it's like all of these like, and so now I'm like, whoo, blowing that out of the water.
Wow.
And really just speaking my truth of like, I'm a sex therapist, I'm a tantric educator, I studied with a pelvic floor specialist who's, known as a vagina whisperer, and really like, okay, this is the messy, murky part of being in a human body, and that we are sexual beings, and that's okay. I mean, and that's not only okay, but it's fucking phenomenal.
Wow. I feel like I'm watching your coming out blossoming even right now. Like, because when you and I met, it was just like 4 or 5 months ago at a retreat. And even then, you were still kind of holding up the, like, I help cancer patients. I'm a sex therapist that helps cancer patients. Like, you were introducing yourself as a sex therapist, but still in that realm. And you've totally let that go, and you're helping all women, because all women need help with their vaginas. Like, let's be honest.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And so look at how free you are now. It's amazing. And so much is opening up on the other side of this freedom that you've opened with coming out.
I love this expression of coming out. And that I think that it is a colloquialism, but it also is so expressive, and it is about human sexuality, and it is about human expression, about how do we come out, how do we love ourselves, how do we love others, how do we have that sense of expression that is liberating and honoring to ourselves and to others.
Yeah. What helped you to do this? Like, what helped you have the courage to do this? Was there certain resources, certain people in your life that helped empower you to be able to do this?
I mean, so many, it's numerous. I have to say I have some of the best friends in the world by far. And the more that I'm able to trust myself, the more good people like yourself that I meet. I mean, I am amazed continuously at the quality of people that I meet on a regular basis now. And that has come from me trusting myself and knowing that I'm going to be okay, and that I am okay, and that everything's okay.
Yeah, there's probably fear before opening that door, that who knows if you're going to be provided for, who knows what's on the other side of it, and how scary that is. And
Yeah.
here you are now living in such abundance.
I mean, truly, yes, yeah. And that it's, the opportunity is to go from one abundant situation to another, and to know that I'm always being taken care of, because I am always being taken care of, because I take care of myself. and I know how to do that. And I've always known how to do that, but I didn't trust that that would be the case before. And now I feel it to the core of my being. And I know that I mean, this is going to sound kind of hokey, but I know that I'm divinely guided. I mean, truly.
Yeah.
And that when I trust in that, then I can proceed forward. And when I don't trust in that, then I trip up, and then, it gets confusing, or I might get worried. But one of the biggest things that I did within the past couple of weeks is really looking at my relationship with my former husband, because I had this sleep disruption that began with coronavirus, and I was waking up like, I don't know, 1:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And that is, on the Chinese medicine clock, the organ that corresponds, or the time that corresponds with the organ of the liver. And liver is about expression of anger. And I was feeling that. I was feeling kind of like, I feel kind of angry. And what I was connecting with was actually what I feel is I feel fear around my relationship with my former husband. And there was some litigation that had come up that week that needed to be addressed. And my friend said, well, what's the difference between dealing with that litigation now and dealing with it when you thought you were going to deal with it when the time came in August? Are you going to feel safer then? And I thought, yeah, I'm going to feel safer then in August. And then I thought, wow, boy, what do I need to do to feel safer now? So I did the work, diving in deep of like, I actually feel quite safe because I am safe. I really am safe. I am out of harm's way. And then the next layer was the anger. And for me, that anger was, I was angry at myself for being in a marriage for 25 years and not leaving sooner. And then the reality is that I needed to forgive myself because I got the lesson that I needed to get, and I got it within the time that I needed to get it. And 25 years may seem a lot on this earthly plane, but it's really not that much time. And I got it. And now I'm done. And so to forgive myself of like, oh, I forgive you, Tara, for taking all the time that you needed to learn the lesson that you needed to learn in the perfect time. And that was the perfect time. And that you couldn't have done it any sooner, or couldn't have done it any differently. And that was just perfect. And so I wrote a beautiful letter to myself, and I burnt it with I drew little flames on it because I didn't actually have an opportunity to burn it. It was like, burnt it with drawings. And then I was able to sleep.
Incredible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's been an incredible journey, but really trusting myself and allowing messages like that to emerge and being okay with it.
Mm-hmm. That's such a good lesson about forgiving yourself for the time it took. And
yeah,
I can really identify with that in terms of a lot of my life. I felt like I'm late for things, or I'm behind, or you should know better. You should have learned that by now. And it's like, just, give ourselves a break. Everything is unfolding as it should, in the timing it should. And that's amazing that you were able to recognize that your anger wasn't necessarily all towards him, but towards yourself for not. Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, and that has been the biggest release. It's like, I feel like, he has his time and his place, and I have appropriate boundaries, and that's all good. But so much of what I needed to learn was really within me. And I feel like I don't harbor any grudges, or, I mean, I have the boundaries and they're there for a reason, but I just feel like, oh, he just did what he needed to do, and I'm just doing what I needed to do. And now we've separated and we have different lessons to learn. And I feel like, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity to learn these new lessons.
What do you think your next coming out chapter is going to be about?
I don't know. That's a great question. I really feel like I'm stepping into the unknown around that. I have no idea, but I'm open. I'm open to all permutations and possibilities of what that could look like.
What do you hope it would look like?
Well, I have a hope. Currently, I'm in California, and I have a hope that I will go to Valencia, which I said, I want to go to Spain. And I was hoping to go to Spain this June to lead a retreat, and that did not happen because Spain is closed. So maybe next year, because I'd like to go to Valencia before I actually move there. But something about setting up a home. I'm very much in a nomadic lifestyle at this point, but I see that in the future I will actually need to create some roots and not so much be a voyeur, because I feel here in California, this is not my place. This is not necessarily my tribe. And I feel a little bit more like a voyeur here. Like I'm learning, it's beautiful, I love it, and it's not my land. So coming into a place of home is my sense, and where that will be, I believe, is Valencia. But I don't know that for sure. I don't even speak Spanish very well.
What is it about there that calls you?
The water, the mountains. I mean, and you can swim in the ocean or in the Mediterranean, the sea. You can, like here in California, it feels like such a tease. There's water, but you can't swim in it. It's not warm enough. I don't want to wear a wetsuit and go into the beach.
I swim in it in BC, so you could swim in it in California. It's even warmer there. What is the work of your heart that you're doing right now?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks, Nancy. I'm doing this retreat work called Rediscovering My Body. And when I began this work, I developed this class for women who had had cancer. And then in January, at that retreat that we were at, I decided it needed to be for all women. And then really placing and inserting myself within this curriculum and really understanding how this has been such an important path for me and my evolution, and really owning it, that this work is for all women, and this work is developed not necessarily just for women who have had cancer, but it's really developed through my own process and my own experience of coming back into my body and rediscovering my own sense of pleasure, my own sense of agency, my own sense of reclaiming my sensual self and what it is that I desire, not only sexually, but what I desire in the world, what it is that I desire to create. And for me, it starts through the body. It's very tangible and it's very physical. And what I love about the body is inherently honest. The body doesn't lie, because the experiences that we have encoded in our body are there for a reason. And when we allow them to be expressed, they emerge, and it's not mediated through this cerebral box that changes things, and we have thoughts and opinions about things. Because the body is very honest. And so listening to the body is a very powerful way for us as women to be in tune with the truth of what it is that we need to express, how we need to be, how we need to be as mothers, how we need to be as partners, how we need to be just as women. I mean, women are so powerful. We have a creative force within us that we can create life. And there's something magical and there's something mysterious that cannot be defined through linear terms completely. And it is through that understanding of the mystery or acceptance of the mystery that we then can help, create more viable expression in this world, and that it's not necessarily always about this linear process. That we, I believe, as women, really need to step up and own our power so we can be more powerful in the world and help change things. As coronavirus is changing things, I think women are going to be the next people in power to help and to heal and to soothe and to smooth and to create the harmony in the world that we all want. I think this is the end of patriarchy. It's kind of where I'm going.
Wow. Yeah, you're here.
Mm-hmm.
How can people find you?
People can find me best on Facebook. I do a Facebook Live regularly where I'm talking about my retreats, and I'm hosting a retreat this month in May, and I'm hosting another one in June, the Rediscovering My Body retreat. And I just think that that's the best way to connect with me, because I think Facebook Live is fun.
Tara Galeano, is that what they should look up?
No, they should look up Boulder Sex Therapy.
Okay.
Yes, and if they look up taragaleano.com, they'll get my website, which is great. But I'm on Boulder Sex Therapy Facebook page.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was so awesome to hear latest coming out story.
Yay. It's been an honor and a privilege. Thanks so much, Nancy. It was fun talking with you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for listening to the Coming Out Chronicles. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. And if you think it would be helpful for someone else, please share it with them. If you'd like to connect with me, reach out on social. I'd love to support you on the next chapter of your coming out story. Until next time, this is Nancy Shadlock from Centered Life Coaching.